Hello and welcome to this demonstration of the Cure Plus, this software. The software has been designed especially for credit unions, and during this session we'll take you through the software and highlight some of the key features. There's 5 main sections to the software and we'll go through each of these in turn. The first section is for risk policies. Under this section you can set up each of the policies that you have and store them in a filing cabinet, and this way you're keeping them all in the same place. The next main section is for risk appetite statements. Using the software, by entering your financial results each month, you can actually plot graphs showing your performance against each of the main prudential ratios set out by the PRA. In addition, it will develop automatically risk appetite statements for you. These follow a standard layout and take into account the latest guidance from the PRA. There is also 3 blank statements which can be used to be adapted as the credit union sees fit. The main section of the software is for risk evaluation. This is where the risk register is held. Using the software, you would go into Enter Risk, and you could enter details of the software of the risk, starting with the detail of the risk, the controls in place, and then scoring it on a 1 to 5 system from its likelihood and its impact both before and after the controls have been put in place. The software will then generate whether that risk is acceptable, unacceptable, or is just an issue. It also lets you assign it to different areas of the business, setting out who's going to be responsible for looking at the risk and when it's next due for review. One feature in the software is you can also mark it as compliance, and under that it will appear in reports for the compliance officer, or you can mark it as an incident. If any risk is marked as an incident, it will move off the risk register and onto a separate incident register. This would happen in cases such as if you feel your capital to asset ratio is no longer a risk, it's actually something that's happened to you. In the incident register, it lets you track down each of the steps being taken to resolve it. And once the incident is resolved, you can mark it to go back into the risk register. The reason the software was developed was to make reporting on risk as easy as possible. Once risks have been entered, you can then report on them in a variety of different ways, based on how severe the risk is, based on the area, by responsibility, any risks due for review, and this can be anything which is due for review in the next 30 days or overdue. You can also report on incidents, any controls which are ineffective, in other words the risk before and after is both the same, and all of these can be produced at just a click of a button. This then means as your risk register continues to grow, the reporting on this for the board, for management and for different individuals becomes very easy. In addition, just at a click of a button you can produce the main reports and print them off. Similar to this, the software also lets you evaluate the controls within the credit union. Based on what you've entered in the risk register, the software will produce a list of the controls and let you record dates when it's been reviewed, who's reviewed it, and then getting scored on a 1 to 3, with 1 being a high level of assurance can be placed on it, 2 is more reasonable, and 3 would be a limited level of assurance. and this can be done for both the design of the console and its actual operation. Once you've done that process, you can then produce reports showing the console ratings, which will be then colour-coded based on the assessments, any consoles which have not been reviewed or which were reviewed over a year ago, and similar for those over 3 years. Anything which has been given limited assurance will also appear on a weak console report, letting you see at a glance controls that you need to take further action regarding. Similar with the console assessment, the software also lets you record any issues raised by internal audit or by your supervisory committee. These can then be linked to the actual console that they're used to evaluate. This you can get recorded, as well as what action the credit union has taken. It then also lets your internal auditor mark down their checking of it, any further findings, and whether they're happy for it to be cleared. This then allows you to produce reports on any outstanding internal audit issues, all internal audit issues ever recorded in the software, and also report linking the consoles with the issues identified. The last section of the software is a compliance checklist. Here, it'll give you checklists for the last 12 months period. With each, the questions will be different. This is to ensure that you're not checking the same things each of the 12 months. For instance, for areas like fidelity bond insurance, there's no point checking it 12 months as it's only ever renewed once a year. For each month, you'll get details of the tests you carried out, links to some of the key regulated references, as well as notes that should be taken as you go through and complete it, and then the items can be marked off. Under this section, there's also details of key resources that you can link into, as well as for the compliance officers some of the key risks that they wish to look at and monitor. So you can get reports on compliance risks, any risks due for being overdue, any risk appetite issues, any internal audit issues, and a summary of the risks. The aim is to try and make as much easier at hand for the compliance officer as possible. Other points to note with the software: you see the question mark symbol throughout. Clicking on that opens up online help. Clicking on the calendar button brings up reminders for each month. So there'll be reminders which have been set, credit union, any risk due for review, or any internal audit points which again have been set to be due to be reviewed that month. By using the cog icon, you can go into settings. Here you can decide what risks are acceptable, which ones are issues, and what are unacceptable based on the score. You can decide what risk areas you have depending on how your credit union is set up, and you can have as many of these as you wish. You can set out the various individuals who are going to be responsible for risks in the credit union. Again, you can have as many as you wish. For each of the prudential ratios, you can actually set what the credit union's risk appetite level is, and at what level the board would wish the detailed reports to go to them, or what the trigger level is. You can also detail what action the credit union would do in the event that it would breach or any of the trigger levels. There's also space for the free additional risk appetite settings statements to be set up, depending on the credit union's own preferences. There is a feature for an audit trail on both the risk register and internal audit reports That is only available to credit unions who have the full version of Access. For other credit unions, that's one point which is not available. You can also add in additional web resources to provide links to. You can set reminders, the ones which automatically set up a quarterly return, annual return, fidelity bond and dividend return, but you can set up further of these in which months you wish them to appear. And you can also add in additional compliance questions. Now there is 63 questions already set up, but if you wished further ones, these can be added in, and you can also define which months each of the questions appears. Now that's a very quick run through of the software, but if you've got any further questions, then please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you.